awesome. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and we're on episode three. The like only yesterday that we began doing these podcasts regularly, and so today is really diving into why we each got into real estate. And let's hear from Katie. Why did you get into real estate?
Yeah, honestly, I would say my real estate journey really started when I moved out to Seattle. When bought my first home in Seattle, going through the whole process was like really insightful and really actually really fun. And then the agent that I worked with when I first moved out here, she was actually also doing the whole part time. Initially, starting, she worked at a tech company. She started getting into real estate, and then eventually transitioned full time. And like her story really kind of inspired me, and so I really used her as like a mentor as part of my process and really kind of get like insights on how she did it and why she did it. And so that really kind of kickstarted like my passion, my motivation to kind of go and do the same for myself. And so one thing that also like really interested me too was like going into kind of like not only like real estate sales, but also kind of real estate investing. And so, one thing that I learned throughout this process as being an agent is like you make a lot of really great connections, right? And you learn a lot about like how other people start and like kind of where their passions and motivation lie. And so it's been really fun being part of this. So
And would you say that because you had that almost a role model with the agent that represented you, if you could go back, do you wish you became licensed sooner?
honestly, I wish I did, right? I think like the whole process like appeared really daunting at first, right? But given like, having like the correct mentors and the resources, right? I definitely would have wished I started my journey a little bit sooner. Like I would say like even like after like I graduated from college, I think that would have been like a really great time for me to go and start. And even like kind of going into, I think I waited a little after a year after I moved out to Seattle to really go and kind of start this real estate process. So, like, I definitely would have wanted to, at least like, if it wasn't after college, definitely would have wanted to start it like as soon as I got here, just because like I was already getting really familiar with the areas and the market, and so I definitely could have probably started sooner.
Thank you, Katie. And what about you, Juan? What was your why for getting into real estate?
Thanks, Bartholomew. The reason why I got into real estate was, frankly, I was really interested in the real estate investing side. At the time when I was in college, I knew I wanted to get into real estate investing, and at some point, something just clicked in my head, like, oh, you know what? Like, I want to get my license and first learn the whole process of purchasing a home, selling a home, and what better way to do it than to actually go out there and help other people do it. Um, that being said, I started up doing real estate pretty early, my fifth year in college. And throughout that entire process, it basically just consisted of some online learning. And at the end of it all, I was learning a lot. It gave me insight as to what a real estate agent actually does on a day-to-day basis.
And do you wish that you got into real estate sooner?
Let's see. I'm gonna say I think I got into real estate at a good time. I don't think I did it too soon or too late. I got licensed back when I was 23, I believe, and that was like probably just 3 months right after I graduated college.
Thank you for sharing, Juan. And my why is very similar to both of you, where being aware, being able to advise, also knowing what's going on in the market being essential to my why. And on top of that, I wanted to also be able to represent myself and use the commissions to be able to offset some of the costs. As agents, we can use them towards closing costs. So I saw that as a benefit. But before I even got there, I went through a dozen agents to just get into something because the time in the market is much more important than timing the market. And for me, it's okay, I have this cash as an early professional just sitting. I want to do something with it. And why not get started with real estate? So, my experience with 12 agents that I went through wasn't the most positive. And then I decided, okay, if I could do this, then I think I'll be all right. And the way I'll do that as like my test was represent myself and be able to close, and then okay, repeat that for somebody else so then I can have a foundation to start off of. And that's exactly what happened. Do I wish I did it sooner? there were times, I mean, in undergrad, it was going to be engineering or real estate. So I had the ideas. When it actually became more viable was taking care of a decent and a steady stream of income so that I wasn't worried or concerned about what my next paycheck was coming from. The Where that came from was um, my parents struggled, so having peace of mind was very important to me. And then, okay, after that was taken care of, now I could really focus on the art of real estate. I think it did come at the best time it could have. If I could and I had the means to have done it sooner, I would have absolutely done it. Similar to like the Stephen Graham story where he didn't want to go to college, but he made it work. Um, and there's a lot of professionals that they'll decide, do I want to do college? Do I want to take this traditional route, or do I want to do something more a little bit more risky if there's no alternative plan or a backup plan or a safety net. Um, but yeah, I think between getting started, finding the resources, finding a good mentor, and then finding a group or creating a group even that we're learning from each other, we're collaborating, and at the same time, it's the same mindset, it's the same mission and values that will transcend into the next steps. And then as we talk about the different things of mentoring others, being able to teach our clients, being able to advise our clients, and at the same time staying up to date with the trend of what's going on, because real estate changes day to day. I think it's exciting, and the not only the earning potential, but at the same time, many people will convince themselves out of taking the first steps because their first experience was a terrible experience with an agent. So I really believe that the three of us can be and are the differences that I think our clients would need. Final thoughts on that last comment, Katie?
No, I think that was beautiful, right? I think like the fact, like a lot of, I think like as we go and like we've made transactions and we really learn like what it is and to be the perspective of like the buyer and the seller, right? And so like I think like what you said about like beginning your journey like now, right? There's no better time than the present, right? Is like it really is like it's going to take you time to kind of get set up in real estate anyways, right? And so like you're not going to really want to kind of push forward until you go seek out those mentors to figure out like how they did it and like what lessons would they pass on to you, and things that they struggled with, and things that you can probably do better, right? And so like that's all what this is all about, right? It's like we're all learning in various capacities, and like it's it's really exciting that that we are kind of coming together, and like we are also like kind of teaching each other, right, as part of our real estate journeys, right? And so I think like the fact that we have each other, we have our network, our mentors that who brought us along the way. um it has been just like a really great time, and just like wanting to go and like pass it along to other folks who could be interested as well, right? I think that's all we're all about. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie. And what about you, Juan? Final thoughts?
I think what I think what both of you guys said was beautifully said. Um, I just like how Katie said that. I was like so perfect. Um,
I know he said so perfect. I didn't know what to add on to it truly.
yeah, Tommy explained it very, very well. I was like, man. I mean, when you were started talking about a little bit about your family and stuff, I mean, it got me thinking about like my own family too. I guess I didn't really touch on that. Was growing up, money didn't really seem like it was a concern at all. But I think my parents just did a really good job at hiding that. Regardless of where we were or what we were doing, they always had a roof over my head. They always had food on the table, and I don't know if I've ever said this before, like, in our previous videos or on our introduction video up on our website. Um, you know, it wasn't until like went off to college and started meeting other people, and them talking about their own experiences, their childhoods, and it was entirely different from what I had experienced. Somebody's who, would consider themselves more middle class, and they're able to take, oh yeah, like vacations, go and travel to like Cabo, or they'd go off to Europe or something like that, right? Uh, Things to them that was normal. For me, the normal was like, oh, I get to spend my summertime with my grandma and my cousins, you know? And I thought that was just a standard childhood. So all that said, like, getting into real estate, I feel like I really wanted to be able to give not only myself, a life where I could be able to do those things, go on vacations, you know, but also start preparing for a life with my future family and be able to give a childhood to my kids that I didn't have. And I think real estate does allow you to do that just from a financial aspect. So that's another positive that I found when I was getting my real estate license. Yeah, I don't know. Those are all just thoughts that went through my head right now.
Thank
Really
you,
good
Juan.
point. Like, honestly, it's something we've talked about kind of offline, but we never really put it like in a video or anything like that, right? And like, like kind of like where we started to where we are now, right? And like real estate investing, I think like for us, it's like, how do you go and build that generational wealth, right? I know, like, we came from, different backgrounds, money, you know, was a little bit different for each family. And so, it's like when you think about like investing, you think about not only for yourself in the present, but you think about like what does that bring forward to like the future. And like, we talked about like our like families offline and stuff and all that good stuff. But like, that was like and also like a really good point for like the motivation and wanting to get into or learning about like the investment side of real estate, right? Is like how do we go and kind of plant that investment opportunity now and see like how it could prosper later on in the future. And so, when we think about like not just like for ourselves, right? But like we're really thinking about like how do we go and like better the lives of like our families moving forward, right? The families that we want to start in the future and like, the generations beyond that. And so no, that was a really good point, Juan. And like, yeah, it's definitely like something I always think about too, right? I think coming from like like an immigrant family, right? It's like you really don't start from much. And so the fact that, now that we are here and like we have the opportunity, we went to college and did all the things, right? Like how do we go and kind of pass it along so that we can start building wealth for like the future where maybe that it won't be so hard for them moving forward. So
Yeah, and that's a good point too, where we did the things we were told we're supposed to do, and now it's about establishing the things that we want to do for that generational wealth for ourselves and those that come after us and those that want to learn from us too. They This is not just a job, this is not just a career. I think the mission that we've put together, the set of values that we all align to, speak exactly to the reason and the purpose that this group even exists, the Fortune Collective. And really, where are we going? Where are we going? To the moon.
To the moon.
Fortune Collective, we're in no skies.
That's right. The Fortune Collective.
Oh my gosh.